Oh, black mold. Isn't that just yummy? Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Well, sorry about the absence for a little bit here. I'm very busy and only sanding going on. And we're going to get to the car there in a minute. But in between sanding and body fill, there's a wait time for it to dry. So I decided to pull up the doors and start getting a good look at them to see what we're going to do here. Now, all the doors work. Everything's functioning on them except for the window winders. They are seized solid. So I'm stripping these doors. We'll start off with one, see how bad it's going to be, and try to get in there and see if we can get a little penetrant on all the points that turn. Now, I have been busy on the car. The priming is going well. The whole rear quarter panel back here is now complete. There'll be some touch-ups, of course, with the body fill. Once we get down to time to paint, just to tilly it up a little bit, find a little odds and ends that we might have missed. I've worked my way around the back here, across my sill, but I've left this lower quarter panel. I got a new toy in the mail that was sent to one of our viewers actually from my TikTok channel. We'll get to that in a minute, but we've worked on our way through here up to the top, and I've got these door sills over here sanded right out, cleaned, and they turned out beautiful. And yeah, I'm happy. It's coming right along. Now this front fender, this has been driving me nuts. I've got the top cleaned up, and in through here is not bad, but trying to get the perfect contours. There's 3 contours that are going on in here between the bulge for the light, the indent, I guess in the cheek you call it here, there's 2 of them. It indents back here and indents here, and it makes this like secondary round tube, almost like it comes back, and then it's tapered in here on the bottom. And there's one more taper that kind of goes up and curves down a little bit, and that's where that big front chrome bumper fits in there. Now this is the front of the car that was hit at some point, twice. One, it was hit hard enough that they had to replace the fender, got rid of the brown ones and put on a green one. But then it was hit again, probably lower. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of damage up here, other than this little spot, which is the original body fill. But it hit it hard enough that the entire bottom part of this fender was rippled like an accordion, just like a corrugated piece of cardboard. So I spent a lot of time grinding and beating on that and working on that. I've got the accordion shape gone out of it, but I'm on my 3rd run of Bondo because I'm not happy with it. I'm trying to get this profile. Here you can see all the different profiles and curves that make up the front of that bumper or the fender. And of course, this is the one here that curves down. That's where that big chrome bumper fits in there. And maybe I'm being a little picky, but I really want to make it kind of uniform as I can as I go. But this is kind of the job of the day, so we're gonna get into this. Now there is a metal lip that's attached to the top of this thing. I don't know if you can see it here. Where are we at? There we go. So this top edge is a formed piece of metal. It has a chrome strip, which is probably stainless, that's on the top there. And that holds a little brush in that keeps the water and the crap from going down inside the door on the outside of the window. But that is something I got to save. The rest is basically, it's done, it's gone. There's not much I can do with this at all. The shape of it is not really needed. Most of the doors, they're back about a 1/4 inch. There's a little edge here. There's like a little rounded profile. That's where all this material stops. And like I said, I'm going to try to make these myself. I'm going to find myself an old sewing machine. Been watching a lot of videos on YouTube of how they make these nice ribs and the different lines that make the contours of these panels. And I'm going to give it a go, see if I can do it myself. This is just a cheap kind of a pleather or something. I don't know what it originally was, but it is so dry, it's just coming apart. And they have lots of material out there. Again, my interior is going to be black. So I think it's going to be black panel. I will do a white on here. And I think I'm going to do these in the red accents, which are going to be the color of the stripe that's on the main car. This piece of plastic, this is a rarity in this car. There's almost no plastic at all in this vehicle, right from start to finish. But here we are. I'm hoping we can get in here to get this winder for the door open, because these are, or the window anyway. We got a winder here, and I can see it is riveted in. And this piece, I don't know if you can get in here a little better. And get the camera. The galvanized part here, you see, that goes all the way through to the top. This is all one piece. It's all riveted together, all the parts that are actually on there. So I have to get this thing working to shrink the two halves. It's like an X that opens up to push the window up. I got to get this moving so I can get it down close enough to remove the blocks that clamp the window glass in there. And then I don't know. I don't know how it's going to come out. This hole seems too small, but it obviously got in there somehow from factory, so there must be a way to get it out. So I'm going to get my vacuum, going to clean a little bit of this dust up and stuff so I'm not breathing it. I'm sure a lot of it is left over from the old Moses that lived in here. So we'll clean it up, then we'll get back in there. Well, used a little bit of my super juice and a wire brush. And I got in around this edge and cleaned it up so I can get some of that penetrating oil down in there. And wouldn't you know it, that is all that is seized up on this one anyway. I don't know if I can get as lucky on the other three. But that works really good. And other than a little bit of that scratchy sounding, which is from this roller here, rolling on it, it's actually pretty smooth. It works really good. So, I'm going to let that do its thing a little more. Got to clean up some of this stuff here. Some broken glass. Whew, all right, that took a bit of doing. So, the window track itself I've gotten out. There's the long one here. This is the stationary one that's in the front. And it holds the little corner glass in as well too. And the other side, that's kind of the adjustable one. There's these little guides right here. And there's a little spacer in there on a bolt. And you can change, I guess, how tight this is to grab your window. And this top part was rubber at one time, I'm assuming. But it is so hard now and brittle. I'm just trying to be careful I don't break it so I can kind of match a new one to put in there. But now it's time to get the glass out, which really isn't as hard as it looks. Once all that molding out and that guide's out of there, it just kind of flops around inside. So all we got to do is we're going to wind the window up, but now it gives us the ability to raise it past the door frame and out further. And there's two little clips underneath that hold it into the track, and we'll be able to pop those out. Okay, windows out. These are those little tiny clips that hold it in. So it's not hard to get in there with your fingers. The front one's okay, it's fully exposed, but the other one is definitely in there pretty deep. Now, one thing I find odd or strange, or maybe this is just normal, look at the tint in this glass. I don't know if they came this way, that tinted green, or if this happens over 60 years worth of sunlight being on them. It turns that color. It's kind of cool though, I do like it. It looks nice. But got that glass out in one piece, not a chip on it or anything. Of course, the base is rusty, but it is held in there really good. The glue seems really nice and tight, no movement. So I'll just use a little wire wheel gently. Clean this up, we'll give that a little shot of paint, and that'll be good for another 40 years. Well, that wasn't too bad at all. That winder ended up coming out of there pretty good, pretty smooth. And it's actually in two pieces, which I did not know when I started on it. So that made it a lot easier to come apart. But this whole thing is still like new. Yeah, it's dirty, but the grease is still in here. There's waxy stuff. The only problem with this system is obviously the downfall of this assembly here that's made. Everything else is all nice and galvanized, coated well and greased. But the actual winding mechanism, whatever it was, I don't know if it was galvanized at the time or maybe just a nickel coating or something, but it completely rusted. Like everything gone on it. It's not serviceable at all. It's all soldered or it's all riveted together, so there's no serviceable parts. I'm not going to pull that off. I'm sure I'd be in for a world of trouble if I pulled that out of there. But I'm going to clean it up the best I can. It does move smooth now. It's just really crappy. You can see it's riveted on that side, and then where it's gone through, they've punched it like a big rivet. They punched it flat, so you cannot pull that out without destroying it. But we'll clean it up, brake clean it, make sure all the grease is off it, give it a little coating of primer, and then we'll inject some grease in there. I have a needle that goes on the end of my grease gun, and I'll be able to get it right down inside that groove. And then also, we can get it into the back here as well, and down on this side of the pin, and hopefully that'll be good for at least another 40 years. And there you go, people. We have the door locking and latch mechanism out. There is quite a bit going on in here. She's a pretty complicated little piece of machinery. And again, there's no serviceable parts. It is all stamped together with big rivets and whatnot. So you hope that a spring don't break, or you're going to be buying a new one. Or in my case, looking and searching the world for a new one. But it's good. We'll clean it up. And again, just the part that the window winder goes onto, just like the window winder went onto, where the actual handle goes on, it's all rusted up, and it's going to need a fair bit of work. But still usable, out in one piece, onwards and upwards. And just like that, we are completely stripped, 100% bare door. There's no more coming off this thing. I managed to get everything off, all my trims, all my clips, everything. There's only two things, well, more than two, but there's only two things that I can't reuse again. The one, of course, is the weather stripping that goes in the window guide. There's this large piece here that goes all the way to the bottom. And then there's like some kind of little felt insert that's inside here that's got those little hairs just to stop the water from leaking down in there. So I'm going to have to deal with that and find that. The other thing is the window or the door trim itself, the seal. Now this is just like glued all the way around, and I managed to get a piece off in perfect shape so I can get the exact profile, and then I'll know that I'm matching it. Now this stuff here is more of a foam than a rubber. You can see it's kind of like an open cell foam in there. They make much better stuff than this nowadays. Same kind of profile, but actually more of a rounded edge, and it's extruded so it has a hole through the center, which makes so you get a little more puff. So when you close the door, it still, molds nice to the inside of the door panel, but it actually holds much better and does a better job at sealing. So I need that. Now the other part that I'm not sure what I'm going to do with is this. This is a fine little detail trim. There's a standard metal piece, and this thing is wrapped in a piece of stainless steel. And what this does, it goes right here at the top of the window, or the bottom of the window, and it's a nice little detail on the outside edge that holds the seal so the water coming down your window doesn't just drip down inside your door too much. And it had these little clips on it that I thought were coming off nice, but they just end up all tearing off. They're all rusted. There's nothing left to them. And they kind of clip down into these little holes right here. So I don't know if that's something I can buy as a complete unit. There's a place in California that does a lot of these interior pieces. So I'll check with them first, see what I can get. If not, it's actually in fairly good shape. I can straighten it out a little better. I can adhere something else to it, but it can't be thick. It's going to have to be kind of a precise measurement. Fit in here, and also on the other side, the door panel that's down there, it's got the same kind of thing made right into it that has that little fuzzy stuff on it to help seal it up. But it's one down. 3 more to go. This is definitely an outside with a wire wheel kind of job. There is a lot of rust on here and getting all the bits and pieces of hard rubber off the edge where it was glued on. Not a mess I want to have in here. So yeah, I'm going to spend the next, probably 3 hours tonight until by the weekend. Hopefully have all 4 doors done. I can get them outside and get them all polished off. Man, that is a lot of sanding. But it is the weekend. 3 doors here, completely stripped. And all I've done to these so far is gone over these with the wire wheel, getting off all that glue and material inside there. And anything big and any bigger spots of rust, same goes to the other side, and clean them all down. And those 3 are ready for sanding. Now, for the most part, I got one done. Gone over this pretty good. You can see the scuff on it. All this is hidden on this side of the door anyway, but I am going to prime it just to stop any rust from bleeding through. And really, only about 1/4 inch of this edge is seen. So 1/4 inch will be taken completely down to bare steel and finished painted, which will start from here. My top coat will come out to the edge under here. I might put a quick top coat on it. Not going to be anything fancy. It's going to be hidden. But for the most part, I got this all sanded down. I do got to get a little smoother here on the bottom. If you look here, see all these lines? That is all runs. And this is all factory. That whole bottom of this door is just a mess. So they didn't worry about it then. I'm going to worry a little bit about it now. I've got it pretty smooth. I just did 120. I'm going to come over it again with 220 to help smooth that off, because it does go around to the sides as well too some. But for the most part, I'm going to go through with a hand sander, or just my hand and a piece of sandpaper, and all I got left is all these little edges. But anyway, that's it for this week. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks to all those who subscribed. It's your first time, why don't you hit that button? Love you all. Catch you again later.